So welcome to the Food and Drink Summit, and today I'm very excited to be joined by Emily, and we're going to talk about eating to live. So Emily, thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So you wouldn't mind telling us all a little bit about yourself, your backstory, and then of course eating to live?
Yes. So my name is Emily McCorkle. I moved to Derry, Northern Ireland, or Londonderry, whatever you want to call it. As an American, I get away with that. I moved here in 2005, and I was originally a charity worker and youth worker, working across community capacities and things like that. I met my husband here, and we kind of lived between Derry and Dublin for a couple of years before finally moving back here in 2015. My business is an American barbecue sauce and seasoning business, along with doing some really good smoked meats and some street food.
Amazing. And again, in America, you know, we think of some of the states and some of the cities that street food is a massive, massive thing. And we see that trend coming over here as well.
Yeah, street food is just, a lot of what I do is focus on food anthropology. And I think street food is the beautiful story of a culture, of a city, of a people, and how those flavors of the everyday people, not the really fancy, complicated dishes, but the really everyday food of people that's just made accessible and made beautiful through local ingredients, through a lot of love and care, and through the community aspect of sharing food together.
Amazing. And you champion, I guess, the idea of simple, sustainable food as well.
I do. I really believe that what we do is old-fashioned methods of eating. So if you look back through history, fire was used to cook with forever, and smoking is one of those preservative methods to keep food and to keep it really nutrient dense by slow cooking it. So we love looking at what are the ways that humanity has survived. If our ancestors survived by cooking food a certain way, why should we stop? Why can't we just harness that now and still continue to create really delicious food?
Amazing. And obviously, you know, buying local produce, or local farmers, that's something that is important as well.
Local food is a really important thing for us. There's no point in taxing our environment, taxing our economy, taxing the planet in trying to get food or ingredients from all over the world when there's stellar produce here on the island. Coming from America, there's a lot of lots of food and food processing that is illegal here in Europe, and so to see the food that is so pure, so raw, so local, that I can buy things from a shop down the street and they can point to the field where it came from, or they can tell me they saw the animal being born before it was slaughtered. And so knowing that people know the story of the land, they know the story of the food, and that I'm eating so close to home is a really, really good thing.
Incredible. And again, just I'm thinking of the American culture and the American food. So there is a big difference then between the foods?
There's a huge difference between American food and Irish, UK, Northern Irish cuisine. American food tends to be really highly processed, really huge servings, lots of food waste. Or you get the alternative where it's very healthy, very good for you, but so expensive that you can't afford it. And so the one thing that I do try to carry over from American cuisine is that they're really bold, punchy flavors, that if there's an ingredient on the ingredient list, I'm going to make sure you taste it.
Incredible. Interesting. And that leads us lovely into talk about your sauce and your own business. So tell me all about that.
Well, I have no background in food. I just am hungry and I like to eat. And so I started, I started making some food. And my husband became really unwell in 2015. He developed epilepsy out of the blue. It led us to being homeless in Dublin for 6 months before coming back up here providentially at the right time. We were able to come back up to Derry, where his family's from. And we ended up losing our house again, going bankrupt, just really going through a really hard time as a young family. And so I wasn't sleeping. I didn't realize that I had been going through trauma as well as the rest of the family. And so to deal with the sleeplessness, to deal with the stress, I just began cooking constantly. And it was one of those things that really was a beautiful thing, because I was able to make things that were creative, to make something that was beautiful, that tasted good. We were able to bring people together over food. And enough people were saying to me, friends and family and stuff were saying, I would buy this at a restaurant. If I had this somewhere out, I would pay money for this. And when it's friends and family, you don't believe them. You just think, okay, whatever. And there were a couple outside people that weren't in that inner circle of our family and friends who said, no, actually, I think you should do something about this. And my brother came over from America, and he said, look, I've looked in the city. There's a gap in the market. Let's make this happen. Let's see what we can do to make this happen. And that was really when we took the idea seriously. And my husband, it was at the time where my husband's health had stabilized a little bit. And so all in all, it was actually a really opportune time to go ahead and launch this. And it was something that we had always thought about doing, you know, with what we were doing down in Dublin, running a retreat and reconciliation center. It was looking into food and holistic health and everything anyway. So this was just kind of the perfect storm of circumstances in the best and worst sense that made this happen. So
it's amazing. And as you say, one door closes, other doors open.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's just been a really amazing journey, and we've kind of taken it every step, just one step at a time, and seeing what opportunities present to us. So I've kind of kept the mindset of, if an opportunity comes my way and it's not physically or morally impossible, let's open a conversation. Let's see where it leads. And it's led to some really exciting ventures. So
oh, incredible. So you're really taking so some American flavors and using then local ingredients and introducing American tastes then to the local community.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're using a lot of local produce that we're using is from a local farm where it's a rehabilitation center. So a lot of the guys are out there gardening, and that's part of their mental and emotional and physical and spiritual rehabilitation, which is a really amazing thing to be a part of and to support. And so we're able to do that and then use that to then give to people, to feed people here. And it's just been, it's an amazing thing to be a part of. I think when we realize that my business and my life is not just me running my own empire, it's actually that I'm a part of a greater story of life, and that's what we want to do, and that's what we want to be a part of.
Incredible. No, it sounds amazing. So but you've actually taken, you know, an idea to selling this service, the sauce, I guess.
Yeah.
And actually you can buy it now in bottles.
Yeah. So I launched at the Slow Food Festival in Derry in 2018 alongside the help with the Food Innovation Center, Northwest Regional College. And so they helped me go from this idea and 2 recipes that were a family recipe that we just kind of figured out how to upscale. And we made lots of sauce, bottled it up, put some labels on it, and then I brought it to market, and we almost sold out on the first day. And so I'll still never forget that feeling of what it felt like of coming from a charity background where, you know, you're not into selling and sales and all those things. Watching strangers walk over to my table, taste my sauces, and then not ask the price, not anything. They just wanted to buy them. They didn't care how much it cost. They didn't, you know, none of that was a question. And so it just shocked me that this wasn't friends and family doing a pity charity thing. It was people I've never seen before, and they liked my sauce, and it was amazing.
Incredible, amazing. Just what a feeling that must be. I'm sure there's people who are watching this and thinking of their business, the food ideas. You know, going through that journey, is there some things that were really tough to overcome? I can imagine, you know, actually selling food is not an easy thing to do, to bottle it and actually get it ready for sale. Is there some things that you had to overcome, or any tips or advice or things to watch out for that you would let us know about?
Yeah, I think that a lot of things to overcome were, for anybody who's not in the food industry, but I suppose even for people who are in the food industry, self-belief was a massive one, because I came into this thinking, you know, we had lost everything, and actually just after launching the sauces, I was still going through trauma therapy and everything. And so a lot of that self-belief of, do I really know what I'm doing? Do people really know how little I know? You know, all of those things. And even though, I mean, I'm so fortunate to be able to have so much support around me, and to have won awards in a lot of things. My 2 sauces have won the Blast Heron Awards, both bronze and silver for the 2 sauces. So I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky. But yeah, there are major hurdles in terms of just I think me trying to figure out, what am I doing here? What do I want? And why is this important to me? What's my big why, and keeping that at the forefront. The good thing though is, and I can only speak in Derry, I don't know what it's like in the rest of Northern Ireland or the UK or Ireland, but this is such a fantastic place to launch a business, especially a food business. It's so supportive. There's so much help out there. There are 2 women in the council who would go through hell and high water to figure out what it takes to get me from A to B in business. And without this mountain of people that are available, that it's their job to be here to support us, without those people, I'd never be where I am. And so I don't take that for granted. I never think that I've done this on my own and look at me and what a great person I am. It's not. There's been a village of people, literally the village of Derry. There's been a village of people who exist to get people going. And I'm just one of those statistics that they have.
Yeah, incredible. So self-belief and leverage the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible, amazing. And then let's talk about living to eat versus eating to live.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's something that you're very passionate about.
It really is. Well, I actually think there's 3 options there. There's eating to live, and that is the thing that I think all of us need to be aware of: food waste and these people in countries who just don't have enough. And in today's world, there's no reason that people should be living in poverty or food poverty. But unfortunately, it is that people are just eating to try to live, to try just to survive, and that's not okay. And then conversely, there's us in these Western societies, and we live to eat, and we fill up on junk food, and we join all sorts of diet groups and running clubs and CrossFit and all sorts of things like that. Just really not even as much for our mental health, but more just to stave off all of the calories that we've packed in. And so there's a really huge disproportionate balance there. And so my premise is that when we eat to truly live, then we can join society together, we can join people together, and it really helps a society to thrive, to heal. One of the things that I noticed when I first moved here, excuse me, when we moved back here in 2015, was that we started going to some food festivals and things like that, just to get out. And this wasn't even when food was big on the radar. But we were just going and seeing what was happening in the city. And from a background in cross-community work, I knew, there were some tensions, there were divisions, and we would come to these food festivals, and people were sitting side by side having a pint together. They didn't care who they were buying a burger from at the stalls. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to know where you're from or what you think, what politics were about. People were just coming together over food, and I thought, there's got to be something in this. There's got to be something that we can do, because all of these political efforts of joining people together and the millions of pounds being spent on peacekeeping, there's got to be a better way. There just has to be a better way. And that's when I started looking into, well, what role does food really play? And I realized there's dozens of research articles that have been done on how society can heal when people eat together.
Amazing. And then we'll talk about the different types of food then as well. So healthy food is important.
Healthy food is really important. One of the things that we realized was, with my husband's epilepsy, we worked with the doctors and medication, but he had 19 seizures in 1 year, and we couldn't stop them. It just wasn't happening. He's on the highest level of medication possible. And so we thought, we've got to do something here. And so we researched into things, and the keto diet was really good for children with epilepsy, but the medical journals and medical professionals were very hesitant to say that this was beneficial for adults. And I know it's not easy for doctors to say, yep, that works. There's a lot of red tape that goes with it. So we thought, we were willing to do anything. Brain surgery was the last option, and there's too much risk with that, between him losing mobility or speech, or who knows. Going and opening up the brain is just not really an option that we want to play lightly with. And so we thought, if he's got to stand on his head for 20 hours a day, we're going to do it, whatever it takes. So we looked into the keto diet, and the more we researched and looked into it, and it's a lot of stuff that's out there now, that your gut is your second brain. And when your gut is healthy, it affects mental health, it affects mood, it affects a lot of things. And so we really went deep into keto and transforming our lives and minimalizing stress, watching our stimulants, TV and screen time and social media. We really tried to cut out and be really disciplined about. And so looking at healthy food, looking at the the trail of where food came from, minimizing those footsteps and keeping things as raw and healthy as possible played a massive role. I don't know that his health would be stabilized or he would have the quality and vitality that he has now if it weren't for pursuing a healthy diet and healthy lifestyle.
Incredible. And for those who don't know, what's the core elements or the key points of keto?
It's a bit of a restrictive diet, and I have to be honest, when we were really strong into keto, we've relaxed a bit now into carb cycling. I was dreaming of bread. Keto diet is a ratio of mostly fat and healthy fat based diet. Second would be protein and minimal carbs. So when we were very strict on it, we were consuming avocados and coconut oil with everything and nuts and all sorts of really good healthy fats and fish and things like that. And then very minimal carbs. So no bread, no pasta, no rice, nothing like that. Getting all of our carbs from fruit and vegetables is kind of what we were doing. And so it was great. It was a transformational diet, but I don't know that anything in life should be super restrictive if it's not for medical purposes.
For sure, no, much understand. No, and it's incredible. Again, back to you talk about the connection of food and health. And as I get older, I'm starting to, as you say, we're making life decisions, life choices, and what we eat. And we're running businesses. I'm sure there's business owners watching this. The stress and pressure, long days, long nights. And it's the easiest thing to pick is the 15 cup of coffee and the chocolate biscuit to dip into it. And it does come to give you a kick in the bum at some stage. It does.
You know what? Karma is a thing. Let's just say it as it is.
Tough. No, it's so it's amazing. So you find, so even I definitely know I would go in these little stints, and I'm on one now. Only started now, but again of healthy eating and healthy living and trying to be better. But without a doubt, so you found that a real connection then in the food, back to the health of the family.
Yeah, food and health, it just has to go hand in hand. And I think that's the thing that I love about food that I'm discovering, because again, I didn't go to university, I didn't study nutrition, I didn't study the culinary arts, I haven't studied business. But what I'm finding literally from an on the ground perspective is that food is bringing, it heals society, it heals people, it heals the body, it heals the mind. There's so much of a link between healthy food consumption and not only things just with anxiety and depression, but things with bipolar and different mood disorders. And so to actually bring that health into the body to heal psychologically, emotionally, it's such an overlooked issue. And I think it definitely needs to be talked about more and needs to be celebrated a little bit more. Food is not just some default fill a hole and get on with life. I say to my kids all the time, you will spend your entire life in your body. You've got to get to know it. You've got to listen to your body and what it needs. And it's not just a vehicle that we can abuse like a car, and when it runs out, we get another one. This is the one body we've got, and so we've got to respect it.
Amazing. And back to the idea, the concept that we talked about at the start is knowing where your food comes from and trying to eat as much unprocessed food as possible. So very interesting.
Yeah. So we're trying. I mean, part of what we did when we were living in Dublin, my daughter was born down in Dublin, and we had this retreat and reconciliation center, and it was lovely. And I was looking at her, and she was so pure, and I was feeding her myself. She hadn't been introduced to any baby foods or the milk powders or anything, and she was thriving. And I thought, I don't want to someday have to introduce her to these synthetic ingredients, and there's things on the packet that I can't pronounce and I don't know where they come from, and things that are made in laboratories. And so we thought, let's get on she's 9, so we're a little bit behind on this, but we thought, how can we have a 10-year plan to eradicate as many synthetic and artificial food and ingredients in our life, in terms of washing powders even and things like that. How can we live as much of a whole life as possible without being hippies? And we're not looking to go off the grid, but how can we still exist within society and live as responsibly as possible? And so we started this 10-year plan, and it was reducing sugars, refined sugars, and making things from scratch. And we were always a very culinary creative family anyway, but you've got a kid, or you just have the busyness of life, and convenience packets come in the house, and you open a jar and you pour it into sauce. And And so we started that process. Now we were derailed a little bit with my husband's health and everything there. But we're still on track. We're still getting there. I think if anything, it's taught us there's definite time to be flexible and try to figure out a rhythm that suits the chaos of life, because life is not ideal. You just can't set a plan and make it happen. So we're still on that plan. We're still trying to figure out how we can do that. And there's shops up here in Derry, like Ethical Way, that's just opened, and it's a zero packaging place. And so you come and you bring your tubs or your buckets, your glass jars or your bags or whatever you want. And you know where the food is local, you know where it's coming from, you know it's responsibly sourced, and then you also know there's no packaging. So there are options out there, and I think the world is changing as well.
So another thing that you were talking about earlier is that we're talking about how food brings people together, and you're talking about your community work, and you've seen it. So you would say that food, sitting together and eating food together, is a good thing as opposed to solo.
Absolutely. There's studies that have showed that even people who are strangers or people in business meetings, when they order similar food together, it actually builds trust. And so this person has been quoted as saying that a lot of times we think that logic is the way that we make decisions, but there's actually those very simple, silent decisions that we make in terms of food and eating together that builds more trust than actually us cognitively deciding, I like this person, I will trust them. And so it's building that rapport, and it's building those bonds through food that is just amazing. So one of the terms that we talk about is a term called communitas. And that is typically, when you look at hurricane survivors, when you look at people who have been through earthquakes or some type of atrocity, there are people from varying backgrounds that have this forged bond of community and familiarity. And it usually tends to happen through those hardships. Food is one of the only vehicles that has the capacity to build those same forged affinities and relationship factors without hardship. So when people eat together and they spend time together, it tends to almost like a glue that fills and bonds, these jagged edges of personalities or prejudices or all of these things that can divide us, and it softens those edges and it brings people together. And for a moment, people become friends and they have a laugh over a pint, and it's good. That's what should happen.
Incredible. I'm thinking of a couple of last business meetings I was at, and we went out for lunch, and who was ordering what now. But of course it does. You're right. If someone was off the wall and you're just, it's very, I never thought of that before. Interesting.
Yeah. And it's been proven. There's something that happens in our psyche where, we eat food together and there's a sense of trust. And even if you think about it from an animalistic standpoint, it's, I'm not saying that we're animals this way, but, you see when animals eat together, there's a place where your guard is down and you're doing a very basic function of eating, and you only really eat with people you trust, so.
Very good. Wow, learning every day. So no, thank you for sharing that, for sure. So for your part, so obviously your mission, so whatever happens in the future, your mission is to share good food with an American flavour, I guess, to people in Northern Ireland and abroad.
American barbecue.
That's it. That's the focus. So I don't know. Again, I have been to America, but I don't know if I don't think I've had American barbecue food. So we're actually going to have to make a trip down and
You will.
Very good. So the future then, what are you thinking is the plans, or just keep moving down the path and exploring food and all the good stuff?
Absolutely. Just keep seeing where the future goes, to keep taking it one day at a time. We're working really closely. There's a group of us working very closely with council to help make Derry a great food and drink destination. There's so many amazing producers and so many amazing restaurants and hoteliers here that are willing, not just willing, but are eager to work together to make Derry a better place. And again, that fits in totally with my ethos of, food and society together. And so we're just going to take it one step at a time. My sauces are going to be in Lidl on the 30th of July. So across the island of Ireland, you're going to get to see Lo Slo barbecue sauce and vinegar mop. And so that's going to be really, really fun.
Amazing. So I can actually buy it down here locally. I can't wait. Amazing.
You can buy it locally. You will be able to buy it locally. Absolutely.
Incredible. And the question on that, was it hard to get into retail?
Yes and no. The hardest part is me picking up the phone and just asking. That's the hardest part. Again, my two criteria when an opportunity comes my way is it physically impossible? Is it morally impossible? And if the answer is no, then let's go for it. Let's try it and see where it leads. And if it leads nowhere, then that's a really great, experience that I've had of interviewing or applying or even just questioning my own limits here. And if it happens, then great. Let's run with it. Let's see where it goes. So
amazing. So wow. So you were actually picking up, you were picking up the phone and chasing people.
Not even chasing people. This is one of the lessons I've learned. I used to think that sales and business was really about, working long hours and trying to convince people. And, the Lidl application was a form on a website. It wasn't even pages long. It's a form on a website. And I filled it out and waited to hear back. And I've been doorstepping different places and cafes and things. And it's just having the courage to say, are you interested? Would you try a sample? And I find most people really are interested.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Another key skill that anyone in business has to have is the confidence to be able to sell yourself and your product.
Yeah. Or just having a conversation and just saying, this is who I am. This is when I started. This is my sauce. What do you think?
Amazing. So can't wait. So I'll be in the shops. That's it, done. So I'll be there. So can't wait. And if anyone watching this wants to find out about more about your sauce or what you're doing, American food, just reach out. What's the best way for them to do that?
Website is great if you just want to browse and not talk. If you just want to have a look before you want to reach out, website's a great way to do it. Facebook and Instagram are really good. Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, kind of all of the main channels there. So, excellent. Or my phone number's on my business card. Give me a call.
Brilliant. Amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll have links to all of those just below the videos, but just in case anyone's listening to this, what's the website address?
Lo-Slo.co.uk. So it's low without the W and slow without the W.
Amazing. Excellent. And there's live links just below this video as well, so anyone can click through and reach out. So again, Emily, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Taking us through your journey and what you're doing and sharing your knowledge with us is really interesting.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. And thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please do click on the link below and check out Emily's website. It's amazing. Loads of media. You'll see her awards, photos of what she's been doing, and of course, connect on social media. If you know of anyone that would enjoy or benefit from this video, do share it with them. And hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Thank you again.